So, you want to learn more about Holy Paladin and perhaps want someone to convince you why it is worth your time investment as a beginner of WoW, or maybe even as someone who has been playing WoW for a long time but perhaps never tried Holy Paladin spec and doesn't really know what they're missing. In this video I will offer you, as always, my non-expert explanation of how the spec works, what makes it very special and enjoyable, and how to start healing as a Holy Paladin without too much stress or overthinking. As always, there are video chapters in the description of the video and the timeline below for those with attention span and time deficit, and for the rest of you I do recommend that you watch the whole thing and stay till the end, as I will offer you a little bonus of a lineup of the three easiest healers to heal in WoW with these days in Dragonflight, on top of this very quick Pali guide. Let's get started. So, Holy Paladin spec, what makes it a worthy topic of this video and a potential healing spec deserving your attention? Firstly, Holy Paladin spec runs on a chassis of a Paladin class. That's generally an all-rounder, one of the best time investments that anyone can put into World of Warcraft as far as the classes are concerned, because Palis can do all three jobs in WoW, and they can also do these jobs very well, while not being very hard to play. All these points put together should explain the massive popularity of Palis to those who might be wondering or are simply new to WoW and do not know any better. So while you heal as a Holy Paladin, you might be collecting gear for your tanking or attribution specs, or vice versa. Secondly, while I wouldn't call Holy Paladin a lazy healing spec, no I wouldn't. The ruling champion there in my book still remains Restoration Shaman, spoiler alert. But I am using myself here yet again as a guinea pig of sorts, if you like, to tell you that at some unexplainable X-factor lazy players level, I feel that Holy Paladin is still very enjoyable and very easy to heal with. So how do you play a Holy Paladin and what is so special about this spec? Let's keep talking. Firstly, you usually start by placing a beacon of light on your tank. This beacon of light ability transfers some of your healing automatically to your priority target, to the marked target, no matter what you do and who else you are trying to keep alive in the meantime. This is very handy, and this particular bit is truly passive healing, which you know I love. Secondly, there is a talent called Beacon of Faith, which allows you to mark a second target with a beacon to have some healing transferred to them as well, which reduces, unfortunately, the overall amount of healing transferred to both targets slightly, but it's not too bad. And in not very damage intense scenarios on your tank, I don't know, lower Mythic plus keys, looking for raid, LFR raiding, that kind of stuff, it works very, very well. Even though the tank still gets passively healed, but they get healed not for 50% but only for 30%, a little bit less. But this way you can have some overzealous DPS or perhaps a healer, another healer in a raid group marked too. Third point is that just like Evokers, Preservation Evokers, Palis have a secondary resource available to power their heals other than mana. It is Holy Power. Holy Power is generated by using your Crusader Strike or Holy Shock mainly, and you can very nicely weave in powerful heals such as a Cone of AoE healing Light of Dawn, or the very powerful single target heal Word of Glory, basically for free, not using your mana at all. Then there is a talent that leaves a heal over time effect on the targets of your Holy Shock called Glimmer of Light. And finally there is Holy Shock itself, which is an amazing and a very fun to use skill ability that either heals friends instantly or damages enemies, turning you into something that you might have heard of that is referred to as Shockadin. Yeah, it's not a full-blown DPS spec, but believe it or not, in my time in WoW, many years, I have actually seen a few people trying to pull pretty good DPS numbers in good gear as a Shockadin. Yeah, so what else do you want to have more fun, right? If that's not enough, there is a ton of Paladin utility, semi-passive AoE heal from your staple Consecration ability, and massive amount of cooldowns that add to that mix, with some burst AoE heals, similar in spirit, kind of in design to Shaman's Totems. So basically, all in all, Holy Paladin is an armored tank of a healer with lots of toys to play with to keep you entertained, and a rather basic priority system on how to heal. Obviously depending on the group or single target healing situation. I'm really enjoying playing mine, as you will see shortly, this one is still being leveled, but I think I'm on a pretty good trajectory and I'm in a good place to talk to you about this casual pally healing build. So now, my talents and the build that I'm running, highlighting only the key points and talents to you, and the rest of the build you can just simply copy and import by copying the string in the description of this video and importing this into your UI. So let's take a bit of a closer look at the talents, starting with the right hand side as always, which is the spec specific side. We start with Holy Shock. As I already said, it triggers a burst of light on a very short cooldown, instant ability, dealing holy damage to an enemy or healing. It has also a vastly improved critical strike chance. And if we fast forward, so to speak, and look at the very bottom of the tree here, there is the Glimmer of Light passive ability that I told you about. It's where Holy Shock leaves that glimmer of light on the target for 30 seconds. So when you Holy Shock next time, all targets with Glimmer of Light are damaged or healed for certain amount of points, certain amount of healing points, which is fantastic. And you can have this Glimmer of light on up to 8 targets, which in a raid situation and a rather long duration of this Glimmer of Light of 30 seconds, it's very achievable. I also, you will notice that, speaking of those similar to totems kind of by design abilities, I sort of loosely compare them to totems. I also am a fan of Light's Hammer. Light's Hammer is a powerful cooldown on only 1 minute cooldown that hurls a light infused hammer to the ground, dealing damage to the enemies and healing a group of your allies, for quite a lot actually. So you save, it's a fairly short cooldown on a and pumping out fairly large amount of healing, actually what results to be in a rather large amount of healing. I prefer this particular talent to Holy Prism. I played with it, but I'm not a massive fan of it. That's why I'm not going to speculate or talk to you a little bit too much about it. I already mentioned to you Beacon of Faith, which is basically a secondary ability to your Beacon of Light. That is what reduces the amount of healing that gets transferred by Beacon of Light, but allows you to cover more ground, so to speak. And I personally, subjectively, at the moment, quite enjoy, both for fun purposes and healing throughput purposes, the Divine Toll, another cooldown. It's a 1 minute cooldown, but check this out. So you instantly cast Holy Shock on up to 5 targets, whether it's enemies or whether it's your friends. And after casting Divine Toll, you instantly cast Holy Shock every 5 seconds, so over 15 seconds. So you cast Holy Shock 3 times automatically. In heavy damage situations, something where you would like to help yourself out a little bit, it is really good. And on the left hand side, we are prioritizing anything that gives us passive healing, such as Golden Path. Golden Path usually is resulting in quite a lot of healing contribution on your healing meter. If you ever want to inspect yours, it basically makes consecration heal you and your allies within it for what looks like not much, but it actually results in quite a lot. And because I usually play all my classes, if you've been following me for a while, in as passive way as possible, I try to reduce the amount of buttons. I know I took Divine Toll and I took obviously the Light's Hammer here, but A, I didn't have a choice on the way to Glimmer of Light, and B, they are worth it in my opinion, worth my trouble. But over here my journey is very simplistic, and I'm very much preferring to choose of Dusk Till and Dawn ability talent that basically gives us semi-passively, through you using your abilities, it gives you this blessing. And blessing either reduces damage or it increases damage and healing, which is cool, which is very cool. What are my further plans? At the moment I'm level 66, so we're looking at 2 more points here on the right hand side and 2 more points here on the left hand side. Again, over here I do not look for any extra buttons, but I am going to experiment on the throughput and the playstyle, and I'm going to see if taking the power of the Silver Hand, which it will increase the healing of the next Holy Shock after Holy Light or Flash of Light, which I occasionally use to heal with. On the left hand side, I believe that I've already taken everything that I wanted to take really, but I am probably going to perhaps boost my attacks by taking the Seal of Crusader, but we will see. Or maybe the Blessing of Protection. We will see. I'm debating at the moment, but I honestly do believe that for a casual purpose of a person who is not trying to push massively competitive kind of levels and speeds of Mythic plus 20, this is a sufficient enough picture already to share with you, my friends. And as far as my UI is concerned, Healer's UI is concerned, this is the same standard good old UI that I've used for all of my other characters that I have been reviewing, and all of my other healers and other classes, but I have a Healer's UI. So I will just reuse the link that I shared in the description of the videos for my Restoration Shaman and for my Preservation Evoker. Once again, you can find it in the description to this video and copy it if you really need it. As far as my action bars are concerned and the actual buttons and how do I heal and what do I heal with, I actually get that question a lot in the comments. I don't use any special add-ons, and I simply rely on the standard party and raid frames, and I use mouse over macros. That's it. I like to minimize the reliance on external add-ons. Simple as that. I quickly set up my mouse over macros. I will give you a template and a sample macro in the description, and you can just use it for all spells. I pretty much use it for all of my spells. I use it for Word of Glory, I use it for Flash of Light, I use it for Holy Shock, I even use it for Divine Toll. So you guys and girls can do exactly the same thing, and I find it sufficient. Really sufficient. Now, as promised at the start of this video, before we wrap up, as a quick reward to those of you who have the patience and attention span to watch my videos till the end, or at least fast forward to this point. A quick list of easiest healers in WoW upon my own reflection of the recent experience playing for a few of the past weeks and months of Dragonflight. So in the first place, we'll start with the first place, why not? I already said it, spoilers have already been released, is firmly still Restoration Shaman. Yes, it's most passive, easiest to heal with, easiest to level with, beginner-friendly healer there is. So if I didn't convince you enough in Holy Paladin so far, go with Restoration Shaman, watch my review and my quick guide similar to this one on my channel, and be happy, my friend. In the second place, I firmly place Preservation Evoker, because I still find Preservation Evoker to be most fun healer for me personally these days, with a great DPS off spec as well, which increases its potential value as a class to, like I said, to invest your time into, similar to Paladin, and very easy to achieve rather ridiculously high healing output by face rolling on the keyboard, as also mentioned in one of the previous videos. That's why Preservation Evoker is firmly place number 2. And in the third place, is this Holy Paladin that we've spoken about today. Does it mean that being the place number 3 versus 1 and 2 makes it bad or worse, like per se? No, I don't think so. It's just a scale of easiness to play, probably. And not even easiness, but more like passiveness, in my humble opinion. All 3 of these specs are fantastic, top of my list. They just play a bit differently. They require slightly different attention from you as a player as well. They feel differently, and as a casual player, I can advise any of the other casual viewers that I have to try all these 3 specs. That's how I play, right? If you want then, so first you sample them like I do, and then that will allow you to zoom into one, yeah, and maybe perhaps make them your priority going forward after you've tasted the flavor of all 3. And that is it for today, my friends. I sincerely hope that you've enjoyed this quick Holy Paladin guide from me, and the overview of the healing classes, of course, that I prefer these days in Dragonflight. Unfortunately, Holy Priests, Disciplined Priests, and Mistweaver Monks didn't make the cut. But well, diversity still is what makes WoW great in my humble opinion, and I hope this helps you find your own little spot under the Azeroth sun and have fun when you play the game. I thank you very much for watching. Please give the video a like before you go, and I will talk to you next time.